Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Burger. In this video we're going to be playing through all 48 games that's coming with the Spectrum when it gets released in November 2024. So it will be quite a long video. I'll add chapters so that you can skip to your favourite sort of game that you're looking for, or you can just watch the full thing if that's what you want to do. I'll also have no commentary throughout the games, but I will add my thoughts at the end of the video and give you some background to the games and what I think they're actually like. Anyway guys, without further ado, let's get stuck into the games.
Nodes of Yesod from the Odin Computer Graphics team. Robin in his quest for the Silver Arrow.
Alrighty guys, so that is all 48 games played. So if you've made it this far and watched everything, thanks very much. So let's have a little bit of a discussion and my thoughts on the actual games that's included. Now interestingly, it's obviously a lot less than we got with the original C64 Mini, but you could probably argue that some of the games included here are better than what was on the original C64 Mini. That's obviously a different type of argument. But anyway, starting with Alien Girl, the Skirmish edition. This is actually a brand new sort of game from the last couple of years, and you can find that on itch.io, just like a lot of other new Spectrum games. So I would definitely point you in that direction if you're looking for new titles to add to your Spectrum when it gets released. Head there. There are absolutely tons. There are some that are free and some you have to pay for, but there's great titles getting added all the time. But Alien Girl is certainly quite interesting. It reminds me a little bit like Alien Breed. It's certainly quite nice to play, but it is very, very tough and almost unforgivingly so. Ant Attack is definitely one of those classics that I'm sure a lot of folk will remember from back in the day. Quite tricky to actually control. I'm not sure whether it'd be better actually using the keyboard rather than actual joystick. I actually played on the keyboard whilst making the video, and sometimes that can be a little tricky, but there's no doubt a lot of these games will be using the keyboard when this gets released. Whether you want to try and play on a joystick, whether it's compatible, I don't know. Ant Attack is pretty cool, and it definitely stands out as one of those Spectrum classics. Army Moves reminded me a lot like another C64 game, but I can't remember what the name was, but that was quite good. Certainly very, very hard though. Auf Wiedersehen Monty was nice. I quite liked that one, a nice platformer, but again quite unforgiving, but quite cool to actually play. I quite enjoyed it. I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to be collecting and what I'm supposed to be doing, but it was quite good. Avalon, it was okay, but I wasn't quite sure of all the controls to use through the game, but the style and the graphics was certainly very different to anything I could remember playing back in the day. So Bobby Baron was a sort of almost a Marble Madness style game, which was actually quite good. I quite enjoyed playing that one. Certainly a little bit tricky. I really enjoyed Cosmic Payback. That is a sort of newer game that you can also find on itch.io for a couple of dollars. And I really enjoyed that one. That one definitely stuck out to me as one of my favourite games on this collection. And I'll probably play that one all the way through till it's finished. It is absolutely brilliant. Almost like a sort of puzzle style game, but it was really, really good. Devwill 2 was pretty good. That's also a pretty new game. I remember playing that on an Evercade collection. I think it was the Mega Drive version that was included there, but this is a really nice version of it on the Spectrum. It's certainly a little bit different to the Mega Drive version that is out there, but it's pretty good. Exolon is decent as well. I played that quite recently on an Evercade collection. The Spectrum version is also very good. They are very similar, to be honest, to the C64 version. Maybe the Spectrum version is maybe a little bit more colourful. I don't know. It is still very good, but again, extremely tough to play. Fairlight was quite interesting. Another sort of isometric style adventure game. And there's quite a lot of isometric games in this collection, which is quite interesting. So if you like your isometric style stuff, you'll really enjoy all the titles that are included here. I wasn't entirely sure what I was doing, which is probably a theme throughout most of the games on here. So I'll definitely need some guidance. So guys, if you do get frustrated with some of the gameplay I've included here, I'm really sorry. A lot of these games I'm not entirely sure what to do. It will require a lot of in-depth reading to the manuals. Hopefully there will be some manuals or some pointers onto our website so we can get some help to play some of these games. Firelord is one of those games that you have no clue what you're supposed to be doing. I understand you need to collect a lot of items and then find your way through the game. It is fascinating as heck, and one of those games you just cannot put down. But is it a good game? I'm not entirely sure. It's definitely one of those games that you can't stop playing though. Football Manager 2, that certainly won't be for everyone. It seemed a little bit slow paced to me, and it's obviously a kind of earlier example of a football management game. I remember playing quite a lot of these back in the home computer days and enjoying playing them as well, but this one seemed a little bit slow for me. Freddy Hardest was a kind of nice platformy game, very, very tough right enough, and again, just like a lot of the games, totally unforgiving. The Great Escape is one of those games that I'm probably not entirely sure what I'm supposed to be doing. Clearly I need to escape from the prison there, or the prison camp. And obviously it's a movie tie-in, which is pretty cool to be included here, but I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to do, and I will have to do some digging on that. Head Over Heels is definitely one of those ones that is considered an all-time Spectrum classic, and I remember that way back in the day, and it was always regarded as an excellent game, and quite rightly so. It is very good, completely fascinating, and massively different to anything else that was even released then and even now. Highway Encounter was actually quite interesting. That was a sort of a puzzle style, sort of isometric sort of thing. I'm not entirely sure how to best to describe it, but I quite enjoyed it. Control wise it was a little bit tricky, but that was still pretty decent. The Hobbit is actually a text adventure, which was quite interesting. I think there'll be a lot of text adventures that people will want to get their hands on out there in the Spectrum world, but that was pretty good. Not entirely sure what I'm supposed to do and what all the controls were, but that was really, really cool. Horace Goes Skiing, tricky game. Not really my favourite game that's included here, but I'm sure it will have its fans. Jack the Nipper was pretty interesting. Again, I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to do and what the items were that I was picking up at the start of the game, but very interesting, and that one will certainly be one I want to play a little bit more. Not in 3D. I'm sorry, I have absolutely no idea what is going on with that game. I really don't have a clue. So if someone knows, please explain it in the comments. Same with Lords of Midnight. Obviously that is regarded as an all-time Specky classic, and that one I will need a lot of help with, because there is manuals online, but they don't really help that much. I think it's one of those games you will need help in what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go. It's like a strategy style adventure, RPG style thing, almost like a text adventure I guess, but without too much texting, but it is very, very cool. Manic Miner is definitely a Spectrum classic. That music is extremely irritating, and probably a lot of the music and sound effects haven't aged that well in a lot of these games, which they do start to grate a little bit throughout the video, so I'm sorry about that. It's just how they were, and sorry if I'm insulting anyone. I'm not trying to do that deliberately. Match of the Day 2, or Match Day 2, sorry, was a footy game. I think I remember that being well regarded, and the Spectrum version was probably the better of all the home computer versions out there. Does it hold up well now? I'm not sure, to be honest. I think there were better footy games out there, but it was pretty interesting. Movie, again, I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. It is an isometric style game. There's a lot of different controls that I wasn't quite sure what I was supposed to do, but it certainly is a very intriguing title. Nodes of Yesod was not too bad. It was an adventure platform style game. I quite enjoyed playing through that one. Penetrator was a side-scrolling sort of shoot 'em up, which was really, really tough, but I quite enjoyed that. Phantis was quite interesting. That was Phantis Game Over 2, given it its full title. That had a different mix of styles throughout the game, which was quite fascinating for that time. Pheenix is a kind of a Galaxian Galaga style game, a little bit slow paced right enough, but I thought that was pretty decent. Pyracurse was another sort of Egyptian style isometric adventure game, another isometric game, which is absolutely blowing my mind a little bit that there was so many back in the day. Pretty cool game right enough, a lot of yellow graphics right enough. So Quazatron actually blew my mind a little bit, because that immediately reminded me of Paradroid on the C64. I had no idea there was a version on the Spectrum, so apparently I think they felt that the Spectrum wasn't capable of running Paradroid, so the makers of that game decided to make Quazatron instead, and it was well received back in the day. There's obviously some nods to that style game. It almost plays more like a bit of a Marble Madness style thing, crossed with Paradroid, but it's not bad in its own right. Is it as good as Paradroid? Probably not, but it certainly has a lot of similarities with that game. Robin of the Wood, I really enjoyed playing that one. Totally fascinating. I honestly had no idea what I was doing right enough, but it was very, very fascinating to play through. Saboteur Remastered. Now in the video it's the original Saboteur that I was playing, but on the Spectrum that we're going to get, it will be the remastered version, which has additional graphics, and it also has some additional levels at the end of the game, so I think you'll be able to play on after you've completed it. I think it's only available on some other platforms like the Switch and on GOG.com if you're interested in having a look at it. Shovel Adventure I thought was fantastic. That is another new title released in the last couple of years, and you can find it on itch.io as well, which I obviously purchased for this video, and I thought it was absolutely absolutely fantastic. Really, really enjoyed playing that. I love my sort of puzzle style games, and that was really, really cool. Enjoyed it. Skool Daze is a classic. I remember that one from back in the day, although I have no clue what my goal is and what I'm supposed to do. Probably wreak a lot of havoc within the school, which is pretty crazy, I guess. But anyway, Snake Escape is another new title, and that one was a sort of puzzle style game. It is a little bit hard to get your head around how much moves you can move with the snake up, but it is interesting once you get to grips with it. It is very, very good. So Spellbound is the sort of a Qbert style game where you need to sort of diagonally go down the sort of pyramid and try and cover all the sort of triangles with your colour, and avoiding all the enemies. That was not too bad, pretty tricky, right enough. Starquake was interesting. There's a lot going on in Starquake. I'm not entirely sure all the different things that I need to collect and what to do, but it is very, very cool. So Starstrike II is interesting, graphically certainly quite impressive. Again, I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to be doing in the game, so I'm looking forward to try and get some more info on that one. Stompo, I think, is a sort of new game, and you're supposed to try and stomp on the relevant platforms that are standing out there and move on to the next level. But interesting game. Stonkers, I have absolutely no clue what's going on in that game. Obviously some kind of a real-time strategy style game, but I have no clue. There's probably a lot of controls that I need to understand with that one. TCQ is one of those games you look at, you think, what is going on here? But once you get used to it, and obviously you need to change between the different shapes, it is absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed playing through that one. Target Renegade, the classic beat 'em up, probably the best version that is on the spectrum there. Graphically it's not too impressive, but the gameplay is really cool. Once you get through it and get used to the controls, get all the different weapons, that was really enjoyable. I could not put that one down. Technician Ted, the Megamix, that reminded me a lot of Jet Set Willy. It's very similar style sort of game, and that one's not too bad. Again, I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to be collecting and what I'm supposed to be doing. Tenebra is actually a brand new sort of style game from the last couple of years. Another one you'll find on itch.io. It is a very cool sort of a puzzle style game. I really enjoyed that one. Trashman, I remember playing this probably as a free game that was gave away on Zap 64 or Commodore format back in the day. That is pretty cool. You're basically a bin man trying to empty all the bins within the time limit without getting knocked over. The Way of the Exploding Fists, I definitely remember that one, although I think ideally I would rather have played International Karate Plus or something. That is definitely the better game, but this is a classic with very similar style game mechanics. Wheelie is pretty tricky to play through. I think, as you can tell from the footage that I included in the video, it was hard to control, but definitely one that I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy. Where Time Stood Still, absolutely fascinating. Again, not entirely sure what I was doing in that game, but it was another isometric style adventure game, and I think, like that game and a lot of the games in this video, I will need a lot of help with, guys. So if you want to give me some tips in the comments on how to play some of these games, please feel free to add lots of comments. I think a very interesting selection of games. I actually enjoyed discovering a lot of these games for the first time. Obviously I have played a few of these titles at some point, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on the Spectrum. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Is this something you're interested in? I know a lot of people will probably look at this and think, nope, that's not for me, but I think those with nostalgia for these games will get the most out of it. But if, like me, trying to discover some of the stuff that you missed out of back in the day, because I obviously was a Commodore 64 guy, but I'm still looking forward to getting my hands on the Spectrum. Guys, thanks very much for making it this far. We'll catch you again in the next one. Bye for now.